The views, information, and opinions expressed during the following program are solely those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent the views of Access Communications, its representatives, or its employees.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the regular meeting. Weyburn City Council held in council chambers at 6 p.m. Monday, April 24th, 2023. First thing is approval of the minutes of regular council meeting and strategic planning and priorities meeting held April 11th, 2023. Would please motion?
I'll make that motion, Your Worship.
Your Worship, I'll second that motion.
Call the question. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Tonight, we are still short one member as there's a by-election coming up of our council. Nominations are closed May 26th.
April 26th, so
April 26th.
Wednesday at 4 p.m.
Right, and an election May.
May 31st will be the election.
So that is, we are moving forward with that. Additions to the agenda. Mr. Warren?
Your Worship, no additions tonight from administration.
Council? Nothing. Public hearings, there's none. Now, there are two that proclamations that we have here tonight. The first, these are both very important within our community. Not that all proclamations aren't, but these are ones that we hold very near and dear. And the first one is the Day of Mourning proclamation. Whereas every year more than 1,000 Canadian workers are killed on the job, whereas thousands are permanently disabled, and whereas hundreds of thousands are injured, and whereas thousands of others die from cancer, lung disease, and other ailments caused by exposure to toxic substances at their workplaces. And whereas April 28th of each year has been chosen by the Canadian Labour Congress as a day of mourning for these victims of the workplace accidents and disease, a day to remember the maximum sacrifice they have been forced to make in order to earn a living, a day to renew approach to the governments for tougher occupational health and safety standards and more effective compensation, a day to rededicate ourselves to the goal of making Canada's workplace safer. Whereas April 28th was proclaimed a day of mourning by an Act of Parliament on February 1st, 1991. So I, Mayor Marcel Roy of the City of Weyburn, do hereby proclaim April 28th an annual day of mourning in recognition of the workers killed, injured, or disabled on the job. Tonight we have Wanda Bartlett that is here. Do you wish to say any words? Press the button.
Just would like to extend an invitation to everyone here and to attend the ceremony on Friday at 5:30. We will be honoring the 39 workers that were killed in Saskatchewan in 2022 at the ceremony on Friday night. It'll be a candlelighting ceremony, and there will be a flower presentation at the memorial that we have behind the T.C. Douglas Cavalry Center. So again, everybody is welcome to attend, and I would encourage you, if you have a few minutes, to put that on your to-do list for Friday night. Thank you.
Unfortunately, due to a conflict of interest, not conflict of interest, a conflict of scheduling, I won't be able to make it this year. But I will give you this proclamation, Wanda, if you want to take a picture.
What, Shelby?
Just kind of on a note on that, as a lot of people know that I read history a tremendous amount, in the late 1800s, just a time of Civil War down the States, the average age of a male in the northern factories was around 21. So due to how dangerous and how terrible occupation health and safety was at that time, it was actually safer to go to war than it was to work in the factories up there. So that's why Lincoln was able to fill his ranks. So we've come a long ways on this, a very long ways. The next proclamation is Canadian Mental Health Association, whereas inaugurated by CMHA in 1951, May 1st to the 7th, 2023 marks the 72nd Annual Mental Health Week in Canada. And whereas mental health is not just the absence of mental illness, mental health is about finding balance in all aspects of your life, socially, physically, spiritually, economically, and emotionally. There's no health without mental health. Whereas Mental Health Week is a social change campaign to educate the public and shift beliefs and perceptions about mental health. It helps promote behaviors and attitudes that foster well-being, support good mental health, and create a culture of understanding and acceptance. And whereas the Canadian Mental Health Association in Weyburn is committed to the mental health of our community. We want our families, friends, and neighbors to have the same opportunities, breaking down barriers of mental health and mental illness by offering support and programs. Please visit www.weyburn.cmha.ca. Therefore, now I, Marcel Roy, Mayor of Weyburn, do hereby proclaim May 1st to the 7th, 2023 to be Mental Health Week in Weyburn, and I urge all citizens to take part in the events to celebrate this week. Tonight, we have Tasha Collins and Mal Barber here present. Would you like to say something, Tasha?
Thank you, Marcel. Mayor Roy. For this year's Mental Health Week, CMHA is asking people to share their story. The theme for this year is My Story. We all know that collectively and individually, we have multiple layers and stories that make us who we are, and each and every one of us have mental health. We have different yet equally valuable stories, and we encourage everyone to share their stories by using the hashtag #MyStory and hashtag Mental Health Week to help raise awareness and send a message that universal mental health care is important and needed now. CMHA Weyburn does have a few events coming up in the next week. We have our door hanger campaign, which is the second year for this campaign. CMHA Weyburn and the Weyburn Police Service have collaborated for this initiative, where we are distributing door hangers through our local paper this week and asking everyone to hang their door hangers on their front door during Mental Health Week. The door hanger includes a list of resources that can support someone struggling with their mental health. It's an initiative that not only raises awareness and the profile of mental health in our community, but it provides connections as well. Those are connections to resources, connections to our community, connections to our neighbors, and connections to mental health. Our Mayor's Luncheon, where Mayor Roy will be speaking, is on May 2nd, and we will have guest speaker, Canadian country music artist Amy Nelson, in attendance, and where she will share her story along with her talent with us. On May 3rd, we will be hosting 2 gambling awareness presentations at the Weyburn Credit Union, one at 1:30 and one at 6:30 in their community room, and we hope that the community is able to join us for that. They have an interactive display as well as presentation and information on gambling, the risk, sports betting, and the overlap between gaming and social media. And lastly, we have our used book sale on May 4th and 5th, and that's supported by Blue Earth here in Weyburn, where all proceeds will be donated to our local branch. We certainly encourage everyone to get involved and participate in these events, and we look forward to seeing you all have your door hangers hung up and seeing many of you at our luncheon. Thank you.
Thank you. And just before you sit down, we'll give you this part. If you would, please. Yeah, I know, just paparazzi, all the pictures. Are there still tickets available, Tasha? Do you have, is there still tickets available for the mayor's luncheon?
Yes, there is, yeah.
Okay. That being said, we will move forward. I'll just pass this down to Danette. So we need a runner. We need a runner. Yeah. The youth council, the person. The consent, reports on standing committees, Councillor Van Betju.
Thank you, Your Worship. A regular meeting of the Weyburn Police Commission held in the Administrative Boardroom, 4 p.m. Thursday, April 13th, 2023. Additions to the agenda were Safety Telecommunication Workers Week, which we recognized. Correspondence was none. Under reports for February, there was a governance meeting, and also the impaired driving charges have increased, therefore so has enforcement. Property crimes were lower, but typically will increase in the summertime. A meeting to be held with the chief in the province regarding firearm buyback. Conclusion to be reported back at the next board meeting. Budget overage for 2022 was approximately $145,000 to $150,000. NG 911 system waiting for proposals, again, will be reported back. Discussion was held with about the difficulty and costs to proceed forward with charges and to further get convictions. SLT meeting discussed, police force was sent down to Estevan to view the St. Joseph's Addiction Center, and it was discussed about possibly setting up another tour for some city staff. Accounts payable report was delivered, budget comparison report was delivered. These reports were all moved and approved as accepted. There was no unfinished business, no new business. The board moved into in-camera at approximately 5:15 and out of camera again at 5:50, and the meeting was adjourned.
Thank you. That will be marked as received and will be on our city website. We have the consent agenda. I need a motion for the consent agenda for 2022 annual engineering report, accounts receivable for March, and public works report for March. Do I have a motion, please?
Your Worship, I move that the items on the consent agenda be accepted as presented.
I'll second that, Your Worship.
Discussion? Go ahead.
Thank you, Worship. Just a huge shout out to Jen. This report is fantastic. Thank you very, very much. And I encourage everybody who has a chance to hop on the website and take a look at all the hard work that our public works crew has done.
Yes, very well done. Thank you.
Thank you. I honestly cannot take all the credit. My department did a really fantastic job preparing these articles and tracking them all year to put together. So I would say I'm very proud of my group and what they put together.
And again, it really does show for those that sometimes say that we're not getting a lot done in the city. We are. This report shows it. We've worked hard. I know the potholes right now, it's been a rough winter on every city, on all the roads. We're going to be getting at it again with our pothole machine, with our, as soon as snow goes, we have to fix the potholes after this. We can't fix them when there's snow, so, and crack sealing also. So we're just waiting for the snow to go, and then things will get going. Call the question. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Motions. City Clerk Richter, we have deputy mayor appointments, seeing that we are one short here in council.
Yes, we do. Thanks, Your Worship. So, yeah, I just checked the calendar, and it looks like we were supposed to have former councillor Mickle was supposed to be the deputy mayor for May and June, as approved back in December. So I'm just suggesting that if council so wishes, we could just bump everybody that is left for the remainder of the year up 2 months, so that would mean that Councillor Morissette would move to May and June. Councillor Richards would be July and August, and then Councillor Van Betje would be September, October, with the newly elected council member to be deputy mayor for November and December, and that would just give that council member, the new council member, a little bit of time just to get oriented into a councillor. And so if council approves that, then we'll go ahead and make that change.
Do I have a motion?
Your worship, I have a motion that the deputy mayor appointments for the remainder of 2023 be approved as follows. May, June, Councillor Morissette. July, August, Councillor Richards. September, October, Councillor Van Betje. November, December, newly elected councillor.
Your worship, I'll second that motion.
Discussion? You're okay with not being able to leave in the summer? Because I'm leaving? I'm okay with that, yeah. Okay. All in favor? Carried unanimously. The Director of Engineering, or Director, yes, do well consent.
Yes.
Water and wastewater infrastructure, RFP.
Thank you. So this is for the 2023 water and wastewater infrastructure recommendation. So in 2023, the city budgeted for water and wastewater infrastructure improvements work to be performed by a contractor. The proposed work was divided into 5 parts as follows. So fire hydrant replacement, 6 locations at a budget of $35,000. Street valve replacement, 7 locations at a budget of $55,000. Manhole refurbishment, 11 locations at a budget of $40,000. Catch basin repair and replacement, 4 locations at a budget of $30,000. And then a storm sewer refurbishment, 1 location out of the storm water management projects. Now the budget for that line is $365,000, but just a note, it does include money for multiple storm water management projects, which include some storm sewers and a culvert replacement on the highways. On March 24th, a request for proposal was posted on our online bidding portal, Bids and Tenders, SAS Tenders, and the city's website. The RFP was divided into 5 parts as above, and the bidders were informed they could bid on any or all of the parts. And quotations were to receive by the city of Weyburn on Friday, April 14th by 1 p.m. A total of 5 proposals were received. So 2 of the bidders bid on part 1, 2, 4, and, 1 and 2, and then we did have 1 bidder bid on parts 1, 2, 4, and 5, and then we did have 3 bidders that just bid on part 3, the manholes. So the proposals submitted were reviewed to ensure bidders understood the scope of work involved, met the RFP requirements, and to ensure the project delivery schedule could be met. All bidders that submitted proposals must meet the requirement. All bidders did meet the requirements of the tender and were valid bids. So based on the fulfillment of tender requirements and weighted ranking of bid results according to selection criteria provided, it is recommended that parts 1, 2, 4, and 5 of the 2023 water and wastewater infrastructure RFP be awarded to Margette's Construction of Weyburn, Saskatchewan, as per the bid prices detailed and the conditions stipulated in the RFP. So if you'll note, they all did come within budget on that one, and the storm sewer refurbishment, part 5, we do believe that is an accurate and fair price for that project and does fit within that $365,000. And then recommendation, it is recommended that part 3 of the 2023 water and wastewater infrastructure RFP be awarded to Top Shot Concrete of Saskatoon, Saskatchewan for $49,938.90. And we are asking for an overage request of $9,938.90 to include all 11 of the proposed manholes.
Do I have a motion, please?
Your worship, I would move that the 2023 water and wastewater infrastructure improvements be awarded to Margette's Construction for a total amount of $91,752.60 as follows. Part 1, fire hydrant replacement, 6 locations, $22,970.34. Part 2, street valve replacement, 7 locations, $24,382.26. Part 4, catch basin repair and replacement, 4 locations, $27,750. And Part 5, storm sewer refurbishment, 1 location of stormwater management project, $16,650. And that Top Shot Concrete Incorporated be awarded as follows. Part 3, manhole refurbishment, 11 proposed manholes, $49,938.90, which includes a budget overage of $9,938.90.
I'll second that, Your Worship.
Discussion? Go ahead.
Thanks, Your Worship. Thanks for this report. I think that this is good. I'm very excited to see the fire hydrants. We've heard earlier how the condition of our fire hydrants and all of our firefighting equipment impacts our insurance rates, so that's good. We also know that you got a lot of street work planned this year, so I appreciate that. So this all, I guess, ties that together. So good work on your department. Thank you.
No more questions? Call the question. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Director Wilkinson, utility maintenance truck, cab and chassis tender.
Okay. So the utility department requires a new maintenance truck to replace its current 2007 model, unit number 6. This would be a replacement vehicle for the utility department, and the current maintenance truck would be auctioned off at a later date. Fleet Services have an allotted department budget for this truck for $80,000. So on February 3rd, 2003, we posted the tender on the city's new portal bids and tenders, SAS tenders, and the city website for one utility maintenance truck. The closing date to March 9th, and there were no submissions the first round. It was reposted on March 23rd. At that time, the local vendors were directly contacted to notify them that the tender had been reposted, and then quotations were to be received by the city of Weyburn by April 13th at 1 p.m. A total of 1 tender was received, and the results of the proposals follows. So Barbers gave us a quote of $73,907.13. So based on a full bid assessment, the Barbers Motors meets the tender and operational requirements as outlined by the city. As such, the following is recommended: that one utility maintenance truck, cab, and chassis to Barber Motors at a bid price of $73,907.13, net cost delivered without trade.
Do you have a motion, please?
Your Worship, I would move that the bid of Barber Motors for the supply of one utility maintenance truck, cab, and chassis in the amount of $73,907.13 net cost without trade be accepted as recommended.
I can second that, Your Worship.
Discussion? Seeing none, call the question. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Director Missal, city credit card limit.
Good evening. So the City of Weyburn currently has business credit cards with Calabria through the Weyburn Credit Union, and we have 13 individuals with credit cards, and our total overall credit limit is $50,000. However, when you add up each individual credit card limit, they're either $5,000 or $10,000, adds up to $85,000. So in the past, this has sufficed for us, but as we've added a few more credit cards to the business fleet, these individual cards are now, some will max out, and then it's maxing out our overall limit. And so the last 2 months, we've seen that even though the individual card is not maxed out, they've gone to use it, and then there's no limit left. So I inquired with Calabria to see how we could increase this, and since we are a not-for-profit, they require a resolution of council to increase this limit, and submission of 3 years of our financials and a letter indicating what our average monthly spend will be. So I'm asking for council to provide a resolution to increase our credit limit to $90,000, which will be just above what our 13 cards add up to.
Your Worship, I'd motion that the City of Weyburn total credit card limit with Calabria be increased from $50,000 to $90,000.
Second?
Your Worship, I'll second that motion.
Discussion?
Thanks, Your Worship. So this will not really eliminate, sorry, let me rephrase that. This won't assign higher credit limits to each individual card. This is just creating a higher cumulative limit.
Correct.
Yeah. And is part of this, and I think it said so in your report, part of this is because of online things that are being done, regular recurring expenses that have to be done on credit card, like all of us?
Yeah, so we have some payments that, like a lease for a packer, so that goes through on the credit card every month. And that's just a requirement of our agreement with that lease company. And we have the wastewater, or sorry, it's the Beacon meters. They require us to pay through that. So that's like $6,000 each month, so those add up.
Right, good, thank you.
Again, with the way business is being done and rising inflation and everything just, we require more of this. Call the question. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Councillor Morissette, the library board appointments.
Thank you, Your Worship. We've had 2 people submit their names to join the library board. We were down quite a few people, and we really appreciate any volunteers that take the time to let their names stand to be on a board, or even just come out and volunteer. So I will make the motion that, as per the request of the Weyburn Public Library Board, the following people be added to the board for the remainder of 2023, and that would be Fran Cambitz and Kelly Linnell.
I'll second that, Your Worship.
Discussion? Mr. Van Betju?
No, I'd just like to join Councillor Morissette into thanking these people for joining this board, and encourage other residents to get involved with your community. And there's other boards, I think, that are looking for members. So please check with the city if you're interested and see what's involved.
Call the question. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Introduction of bylaws. There are none. Unfinished business. There is none. Moving forward to item number 10, new business. Director, Development Officer Fletcher, you're going to be very busy here tonight. The first one up is discretionary use development permit 23009, the liquor store.
Thank you, Your Worship. So we have a discretionary use development permit application that was received from LB Liquor Stores Weyburn Limited Partnership for the renovations and change of use of the unit that was previously occupied by the Co-op Home Center, and they're looking to convert it to a new liquor store. The property is 206 Hill Avenue. It is currently zoned major arterial commercial, and a liquor store is considered a discretionary use in that zone. The applicants are proposing to convert the former home center store space to a liquor store, which occupies approximately 5,300 square feet of the south side of the building. The property is located on Hill Avenue with commercial uses to the south and east and a residential neighborhood to the north. I've included the site plan that they've submitted, and I will note on the site plan there is no through road that exists there, so that's just an error on the plan. And then there's also a floor plan that they submitted of what the space will look like. So as it's a discretionary use, the neighborhood notice is required to be sent to all residents within a 75-meter radius of the property, and notifies them of the application and the opportunity to provide their concerns and feedback to council. Notices were sent on March 31st. Staff answered questions from one neighboring resident, however, no formal responses were received. The major arterial commercial zone is designed for the development of retail, service, and office businesses serving the traveling public and residents. It requires locations with good visibility and accessibility along major arterial roads. The proposal includes the development of a liquor store, approximately 5,300 square feet, within an existing floor space at the rear of the building. And the existing office space in the front part of the building is to remain as offices. The zoning bylaw requires a minimum of 1 parking space per 30 square meters of floor area for the liquor store use, and that would be a total of 17 spaces, in addition to the 25 spaces already required for the office use, for a grand total of 42 required parking spaces, including 1 barrier-free parking space. And the site plan shows approximately 57 parking spaces, which exceeds the minimum number of parking spaces and therefore complies with the zoning bylaw. So council's options tonight would be to approve the development permit for renovations and change of use to the liquor store, or to a liquor store in the south unit of 206 Hill Avenue without further conditions. Option number 2 would be to approve the development permit subject to the following conditions: a minimum of 17 off-street parking spaces for the liquor store use, in addition to the parking spaces required for the existing office use, and shall include 1 barrier-free parking space provided on site in accordance with section 4.6 of the zoning bylaw, A barrier-free path must be provided from the barrier-free parking stall to the entrance to the building. A minimum of 1 loading space shall be provided in accordance with the loading provisions of Section 4.6 of the zoning bylaw. Parking areas must be maintained as gravel-free or dust-free, gravelled, or hard surfaced. The development shall generally be consistent with the application and plans submitted. Any signs associated with the development are not within the scope of this approval and shall be required to receive separate approval through the city's sign permit process. Building permit shall be required, and a City of Weyburn business license shall be obtained prior to operation. Option number 3 would be that council will refuse the development permit, and the reasons for refusal would have to be provided tonight. So staff recommendation, the development permit application meets the requirements of the zoning bylaw. Therefore, staff are recommending option number 2 to approve the discretionary use development permit 2023.009 with the conditions listed.
Your Worship, I would move the discretionary use permit 2023.009 for renovations and change of use to liquor store in the south unit of 206 Hill Avenue be approved, subject to the conditions as recommended.
I'll second that motion, Your Worship.
Discussion?
One question for you, Janine. So the through road does not exist on here. Originally, when I saw this, I'd read that as there was an intention to create one. Is that not the case?
I don't believe so. There isn't any right-of-way there for a road to be created, so.
Yeah. I think the only concern about that would be that it would have some traffic impact with lights in the nearby area, so.
Yeah.
I think that through road is supposed to go into the wholesale parking lot. Is the way I view it, is roughly, wouldn't it be?
Yeah, like I said, there's no actual road right-of-way there.
Right.
So, you know, if they create an internal driveway, that would be up to them, but I can't imagine that's the plan. I think that's just an error on the drawing that was done.
Okay, cool. Good to see another new business establishing. All in favor? Carried. Continue. Carried unanimously. Again, as I said, maybe that was before this there, but it's good to see another business establishing in Weyburn. Discretionary use development permit 23010, credit union concert.
Thanks again, Your Worship.
You're going to step aside?
Yeah, if I may, Your Worship.
Side, okay. Go ahead.
Thanks, Your Worship. So a discretionary use development permit application has been received for a temporary use, which includes a community event involving an open-air concert, an outdoor movie, and other activities on Cotto Avenue between 2nd Street and 3rd Street on Friday, June 16th of this year. And it will be hosted by the Weyburn Credit Union. The credit union is proposing to host a large community event in front of their location on 205 Cotto Avenue, which will involve a road closure between 2nd Street and 3rd Street on June 16th between approximately 4 p.m. and 11:30 p.m. The zoning bylaw contains regulations regarding temporary uses and separates them into low impact and high impact uses, with open air rock concert and similar attractions being considered high impact uses. Section 5.9.2b of the zoning bylaw requires that they require development permit and follow the discretionary use process. The credit union are hosting the outdoor concert as part of their community event, which will also include a barbecue, bouncy houses, and an outdoor movie. Discretionary use neighborhood notice is required to be sent out to the property owners within a 75-meter radius, which notifies them of the application and the opportunity to provide their concerns and feedback to council. No comments or concerns from the neighborhood notices have been received. So there's a map of where we're talking about. And the outdoor concert is proposed to take place on the street between 2nd and 3rd Street on Cotto Avenue. They're planning on the concert being wrapped up by 9 p.m. and the outdoor movie done by 11 p.m. with cleanup to occur between 11 p.m. and 11:30. This would comply with the quiet hours of the noise bylaw. Concerns were raised by various city departments due to other events in the downtown already occurring the following day on June 17th, those being the car show and the Walk of Fame induction ceremony. The main concern would be that cleanup is not completed prior to those events. However, the applicant has identified time for cleanup in their schedule, and staff would recommend a condition be applied to the permit approval requiring all cleanup to be completed and the area be left in its original condition by 8 a.m. Saturday, June 17th at the latest. Road closures for the card show are to start at 8 a.m. on Saturday. So zoning bylaw regulates temporary uses, and this would be considered a high impact use. Section 5.9.3 has standards for temporary uses and requires them to meet the following conditions: have adequate washroom facilities and on-site parking, required landscaping and parking areas for the principal use may not be occupied by the temporary use. The event shall not obstruct pedestrian or vehicular circulation, including vehicular sight triangles. Adequate refuse containers be made available and the site must be kept clean. And upon completion, all structures, associated material, and signage must be removed and the site be left in a neat and tidy condition. Temporary uses are permitted for a maximum of three days. The proposed temporary use is only for 1 day on June 16th. The options before council tonight would be option number 1, to approve the development permit, subject to the following conditions. Permission is granted for the closure of the portion of Cotto Avenue between 2nd Street and 3rd Street for the duration of 4 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. on June 16th. The City of Weyburn will provide barricades to block off the street. However, they are responsible for picking them up from Public Works. Arrangements must be made for access to washroom facilities. Arrangements must be made for parking on site or in the area. The applicant is responsible for obtaining liability insurance for the event. The applicant is responsible for repairing or paying the cost of any damages that may occur during the duration of the event. Refuse containers must be provided on site and it must be kept clean. Temporary use shall comply with all city bylaws, including but not limited to the traffic bylaw, property maintenance and nuisance abatement bylaw, and noise bylaw. And upon completion of the event, all structures, associated material, and signage shall be removed and the area left in a neat and tidy condition. Cleanup to be completed no later than 8 a.m. on the 17th. Option number 2 would be to refuse the development permit, and the reasons for refusal would have to be provided. So the staff recommendation, the proposal complies with the requirements of the zoning bylaw in terms of temporary use requirements, washrooms, refuse containers, and time frame. And therefore, staff are recommending option number 1 to approve the discretionary use development permit application with the conditions listed.
Motion.
Your Worship, I'd like to make a motion that discretionary use permit 2023-010 for an open-air concert and event on June 16, 2023 on Cotto Avenue between 2nd and 3rd Street be approved subject to the recommended conditions.
Your Worship, I'll second that motion.
Discussion? Seeing none, call the question. All in favor? And we still had a quorum, so we were okay. If you would, please. Our guest that just came in, were you about the liquor store? Yes. Okay, you just missed it by 2 minutes. It was passed. I could have really bluffed you going, wow, too bad, it got shut down. No, it was passed, so you're set to go, so, okay. Yeah, I should have really messed you around going, oh, too bad. You weren't here to speak to it, and we should, yeah, no, it's here, but it's passed, and you're all set to go, all right? You're welcome. You can talk to Janine then again tomorrow, I guess, and get to talk about all this stuff and get a good growth there, so, yes. Thank you for coming in. So, okay. Yes. The home-based business application, Janine?
Okay, I'm going to try and make it through this report. So an application has been received from Amy Parisian to operate a home daycare out of their residence at 238 9th Street. It's located in the R2 zone. The business will operate Monday to Friday, 7:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. It would be considered a controversial use as the business involves clients being directed to the home throughout the day. The applicant anticipates a minimal traffic increase with 8 to 10 families, up to 12 children as per their approval from the Ministry of Education as a group family childcare home, attending the home for drop-off and pickup daily, and parking on the driveway is available. The zoning bylaw requires that controversial home-based businesses which require clients attending the home go through the neighborhood notice process and receive council approval. Neighborhood notices were mailed out on March 31st to all neighbors within a 50-meter radius of the applicant's home. Residents receiving the notice were given the opportunity to comment on the application. No concerns or objections were received. Home-based businesses are permitted use, meaning that landowners have the right to undertake the use in accordance with the bylaw unless provisions of the bylaw are specifically contravened. Home-based businesses generally must meet the following provisions: be incidental to the use of the premise as a residence, be compatible with residential uses, be limited in extent in terms of volume of materials sold and number of clients, and not substantially increase the volume of traffic, and not detract from the residential character of the zone. So council's options tonight: option number 1, council approves the home-based business permit 2023-007 at 238 9th Street, subject to the following conditions. No person other than a resident of the dwelling unit shall be engaged in the home-based business as an employee or volunteer. No advertisement carrying the address of the dwelling in which the home-based business occurs may be placed in any media. Shall not occupy more than 25% of the gross floor area of the unit. Face of any home-based business sign on site must not exceed 0.092 square meters and must be placed within the inside half of the front yard setback. The permit is only valid for the above address and is not transferable to another address. Reapplication will be required if the business moves. In accordance with the Child Care Act and licensing for a group family child care home, no more than 12 children, including the children of the care provider, may be cared for in the residence at one time. Provincial regulations and licensing requirements must be followed where applicable. Home-based businesses are subject to periodic review to ensure compliance. The applicant's driveway shall be used for off-street parking of clients, and a City of Weyburn business license shall be obtained prior to operation of the business. Or option number 2 would be to refuse the home-based business permit, and the reasons for refusal would have to be provided. Staff have reviewed the application and are recommending option number 1 to approve the application with the conditions identified.
Motion?
Your worship, I would move that the application for a home-based business from Amy Parisian to operate a home daycare at 238 9th Street, Lot 1, Block 3, Plan T 5162, be approved with the recommended conditions.
Your worship, I'll second that.
Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried unanimously. Again, good to see another daycare started. Director Wiggleton, Duncan Drive water main replacement, before we start into it, that's my street. I'll declare conflict. And who's deputy mayor this month? If you
Your
will
worship,
take
I'm
over.
deputy mayor.
All right, thank you. So this is the Duncan Drive water main replacement. So the water main on Duncan Drive is a 150 millimeter diameter asbestos cement pipe that was installed in 1975. Since the fall of 2021, there has been 2 significant failures on the southeast quadrant of the street. Below is a detailed summary of the failures. So on October 5th, 2021, there was a major water main failure in front of 632 Duncan Drive, causing water to flow underground and surface in the middle of the front yard and neighboring yards. This failure was a result of 2.4 meters of failed AC pipe, causing a blowout from both ends of the pressure-fed lines. Shortly after this initial repair, there was another leak on the water main in close proximity of the first failure that required a second repair. On March 19th, 2023, there was a major water main failure in front of 620 Duncan Drive. The ground was frozen at the time of this failure, causing the pressurized water to surface and flooded the street. This failure was a result of approximately 1.8 meters of failed 150 millimeter AC pipe. Due to the frozen ground conditions, the failed portion of the pipe was very difficult to locate, excavate, and replace. The 2023 budget had an allocated $400,000 for the Railway Avenue water main replacement project. A&B Concrete Limited was awarded the water main replacement contract for $162,336.39. Following this work, the city will require another contractor to repave the affected section of roadway, which is included in the budgeted number. The engineering department is proposing to use the remaining water main replacement budget amount of $237,664 to replace a portion of water main on Duncan Drive due to the recent history of failures on the aging AC pipe. On March 29, 2023, the engineering department issued an invitational request for quotation, RFQ, to A&B Concrete Limited for the replacement of the 243 meters of the AC pipe on the south half of Duncan Drive as an additional work scope to be completed under the 2023 water main replacement budget. Due to the low quantity, only 2 qualifying bid submissions, and the large difference between the 2 of them for Railway Avenue, the RFQ was only sent to A&B Concrete Limited. The scope of work for Duncan Drive water main replacement includes providing and maintaining temporary overland water service to 16 residential properties for the duration of project via connection to hydrant in proximity, replacement of approximately 243 meters of 150 millimeter AC water main and associated infrastructure with 150 millimeter PVC C900 water main between valve 496 and 4499. Replacement, reconnection, and renewal to include all materials, including costs to reestablish 16 service connections, reconnection of valve 496, replacement and reconnection of valve 499. Supply grading and compaction of backfill, subbase, and base materials. A&B's Concrete's bid for Duncan Drive water main is $169,147.35, including GST and PST. With the replacement of both water mains on Railway Avenue and Duncan Drive, there would be $68,500 remaining from the 2023 utility budget for the repaving of the affected section of Duncan Drive. The repaving of the affected section of Railway Avenue would be covered under the Infrastructure Revitalization Program budget during the Railway Avenue Asphalt Rehabilitation Project. We're actually planning to repave both lanes of Railway and rebuild it. It is recommended that A&B Concrete Limited of Weyburn Sass be awarded the addition of the water main replacement on Duncan Drive as per the costs detailed in the RFQ and the conditions stipulated in the RFP.
Thank you, Jennifer. Do we have a motion?
Your Worship, I would make a motion that the quote of A&B Concrete Limited for the addition of the water main replacement on Duncan Drive as per the cost detailed in the request for quotes in the amount of $169,147.35 and conditions stipulated in the request for proposal UTI 2023-01 be approved.
Can we have a seconder?
Your worship, I'll second that motion.
Discussion?
Only a comment, this is a great news story. You're getting more work done than you thought you were going to get done, and it's not costing any more money, so that's exceptional work. Thank you.
I have one question for you, Jennifer. 1.8 meters of a water main is all it takes?
Yeah. And I mean, that's the thing is, with water mains, the technology is just not there to do inspections through them properly. So we have to rely on failure data. So in a situation like this, where we know we've had failures within a short time period, then that flags them as a higher priority for us. And then again, too, if we're replacing the road structure as in Railway, we knew we want to replace the underground infrastructure there before we go and repair a road, right? So we just wanted to take this opportunity because we knew we had budget and we knew Duncan had issues, and we actually had to bring contractors in with their equipment to actually rip through the frost for us because it was very difficult to actually get down to it and get it, like we got it shut off, but then you actually have to get down to it and dig and repair it. So, and knowing that we've had these failures on Duncan, we know that it's probably likely that it would fail again. So we want to get it done before that happens.
Yeah, makes sense. Any other questions or comments for Jennifer or anyone? All right, and all in favor? Carried unanimously. Councillor Corrigan, do you mind letting the mayor know we're ready for him? Assuming he's still here.
Thank you. Moving forward, the Development Officer, Fletcher, if you would again, Humane Society request report.
Thank you, Your Worship. I think this is my last one tonight. So, the Humane Society has been in need of a new shelter building for many years and has been in correspondence with the city on and off over the past 10 years about options for achieving a new building. In January 2023, staff met with members of the Weyburn Humane Society Board to discuss potential locations for a new shelter building. Humane Society reps felt that 1810 East Avenue would meet their needs in terms of locations and land area available. This is also the lot that they had previously submitted an offer to purchase, for which was never finalized. Given that they currently lease land from the city for their shelter, the idea of leasing 1810 East Ave was proposed. The proposal provided by the Humane Society has been attached to this report. The Humane Society is currently located on city-owned land on the same property as the Public Works Shop and Fire Hall on 16th Street. The agreement with the Humane Society for their current building includes a $1 annual fee, and the city also covers utilities. The city also contracts the Weyburn Humane Society to provide animal control services for cats and dogs. The city currently budgets annual monetary support to the Humane Society in the following ways, and I won't list them all out, but they total $41,950 per year. 1810 East Avenue is currently listed on the city's inventory of land for sale at a price of $48,337.50 plus GST. Parcel is approximately 1.34 acres and is zoned medium industrial, which allows for an animal shelter as a discretionary use, which would require council approval and neighborhood notices, and that will be dealt with separately. So I've included the map of the subject property. Staff have researched practices in other municipalities within Saskatchewan to see which ones are located on city-owned property and what the terms of those leases are. Several cities have their local Humane Society or SPCA located on city-owned land, and 4 of those 5 cities that we found lease the land and/or building to the Humane Society for $1 per year. Additionally, 4 out of 5 required the Humane Society or SPSA to pay all utilities for the property/building, and most had a condition that the Humane Society provide animal control or pound services to the municipality. Staff note that they found some Humane Societies or SPSAs which are located on Humane Society-owned land or privately owned land, and those were not further researched. If the city of Weyburn were to follow a similar deal to other municipalities with Humane Societies on city-owned land, they could look at a $1 per year lease with the requirement for the Humane Society to pay for all utilities and the condition that animal control services continue to be conducted by the Humane Society. They are still in the planning stages for a new building. However, they've run into issues being able to get an accurate picture of the costs associated with the project, as they have not secured the land yet. They are looking to get land secured sooner rather than later, so plans can be made on a specific property for accuracy, and this will help with their fundraising and financial planning going forward. Council has negotiated with the Humane Society and has offered to allow the Humane Society to secure 1810 East Avenue under a 2-year lease for $1 per year to allow for plans to be made and ensure the Humane Society has the opportunity to secure funding for the project. The 2-year term would be similar to the terms that are used when land is sold by the city to ensure development is undertaken in a timely manner and the property does not continue to sit vacant for an extended period. The lease term would allow for council to renegotiate the terms at the end of the 2 years if deemed necessary, or to terminate the lease if terms have not been met for development to occur within that time frame. Staff would recommend that the lease terms require that the Humane Society be responsible for the cost of the installation of utility connections and pay for all utilities, as that would be the responsibility of the Humane Society. The Humane Society would also need to carry their own insurance for the building. Property taxes would not be applicable, as the property would continue to be owned by the city. These terms would eliminate approximately $4,450 from the city's budgeted expenses, assuming that the contract, grant, and vet services amounts all stayed the same. And this is in alignment with what other municipalities have in place with their Humane Societies. So council's options tonight would be to approve a $1 per year lease rate for the property located at Block 4, Lot 4, Plan 102-172-474 for a 2-year term for the purposes of a new animal shelter building, and that the city clerk be authorized to sign said lease agreement. The lease agreement become effective June 1st, 2023, And the terms of the lease shall include the following. The lease shall be for a period of 2 years at a rate of $1 per year, and receipt of which is hereby acknowledged. The leasee shall undertake the development of a new animal shelter building within the 2-year lease term. The leasee shall be responsible for all costs associated with the installation of any required infrastructure, services, and/or utilities to service the property and building. The leasee shall be responsible for paying all utilities for the property, including but not limited to city water, city sewer, Sask Power, and Sask Energy. The leaser agrees that property taxes will not be charged to the leasee for the duration of the agreement. The leasee shall receive approval from the leaser for any buildings or structures on the property prior to the construction of said buildings or structures. The leasee shall continue to provide animal control services to the city of Weyburn. If that service is discontinued at any point in time, this agreement shall be subject to renegotiation or termination and other standard lease terms of the city. Option number 2 would be deny the requested $1 per year and direct administration to notify the applicant of the refusal. Or option number 3 would be other options as determined by council tonight. So given that City Council and the Humane Society have negotiated terms and both parties are agreeable to the 2-year lease option at $1 per year with the terms set out in option number 1, staff would recommend that council proceed with option number 1 and recommend that the agreement become effective June 1st.
Do you have a motion, please?
Your worship, I'll make the motion that council approve a lease with the Humane Society for $1 per year lease for the rate of the property at 1810 East Avenue, that's Block 4, Lot 4, Plan 102-172-474, parcel number 202-034349, for a 2-year term for the purposes of a new animal shelter building, and that the city clerk be authorized to sign the said lease agreement, and that the lease agreement become effective June 1st, 2023. The terms of the lease shall include all of the conditions previously stated by Planning and Development Officer Fletcher.
Your worship, I would second that motion.
Discussion?
Your worship, I'll just note that representatives from the Humane Society are here tonight if council has any questions of them.
Any questions towards the Humane Society representatives? Pardon me?
Only a comment that I hope this helps you out and that we're able to see a new shelter sooner than later. So thank you for your hard work.
Yes. Call the question. All in favor? Carried unanimously. And so now, with that being carried, yes, good luck and on your journey, and hopefully we'll see this all completed here. As you said, it's within 2 years to have it built and ready to go. So good luck on your journey. Inquiries and announcements. Anything? Go ahead, Laura.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just wanted to let the public know that tomorrow is the deadline to drop off your books for the spring book sale at the Weyburn Public Library. They will be opening up Thursday morning at 9:30 in the morning, running through till Saturday, so you can pick up all of your summer reading. One new thing this year is they're going to be doing a 50-50 draw, so I want to thank our librarian for doing all of the legwork on that. So bring a few extra dollars to buy those tickets, and everything wraps up on Saturday afternoon.
Good.
Your worship, we're pleased to announce the demolition has begun on the Sioux Theatre. I want to apologize to everyone that the northbound lane on 3rd Street between Cotto Avenue and between Cotto Avenue and Souris Avenue will be closed for a duration of the demolition, which we hope won't take too terribly long, but access is still available to local traffic and to all the parking lots nearby. Businesses will be open. And yeah, the sign is down and will hopefully be preserved. And we hope that everything else goes quickly and smoothly.
There's always a little bit of not distraction, but discomfort with progress. So I know it's short-lived, so it'll be very good. Thank you. I want to thank all the city staff for the hard work during and after the last week's storm. That was quite the incredible storm that we had. You talked to people way older than me, and they had said that they saw it. They had never seen a storm like this, that we had such a buildup, and it was very, very heavy and wet snow. So that was really heavy. And with that being said, we, the council, all of us council, was up at Suma. I was up earlier because I had a mayor's meeting right first thing Sunday morning. Attended that, spoke with all the mayors of the main city mayors of the province. We had our meeting. And then we progressed into the registration and some learning sessions that day, and then going into a lot of the displays. The next day, Monday, we had the Premier spoke and talked about a lot of things that were going on. Very, very positive. He spoke again about the hospital being built here, announced another hospital being built, Esterhazy. They had talked about that. And a lot of positive that we are really going to accelerate in our the whole progress of the province. Very positive. We're probably going to be one of the main provinces cranking a heavy economy out this year as opposed to some of the other provinces. Moving forward on that, lots of learning sessions in the afternoon, and following that to all the way the general meeting and some resolutions going through those. We then Tuesday morning came. That night there started storm warnings started coming out quite heavy for our area, and by after our main sector meetings, the cities, towns, and villages had their meetings separated out. After attending the city meetings, our council agreed that it should be more important to get home because the storms were was looming in the distance, and it was going to be a very, very heavy storm, which it was within the storm for 2 days, and we would not have made it home at all. And everyone here, although we're on council, we also always have our jobs that we have to get back to, and so we had to make sure we were home for that day, the next day, and we got home, and it was a good choice by council because it was quite the storm for 2 days. That evening, though, what we did miss was that both Councillor Mickle, who wouldn't have been there, but also Wendy Niesner, we had asked her, said that she should be actually stay at home because of the storm. They both received honorary service awards for their years of service with the City of Weyburn, and we'll be formally acknowledging them at a later date, but their awards were presented at the SUMA convention that night, which again, as I said, we have, unfortunately, we couldn't be there because we have jobs to work at, and we had to make sure we were home, and also we had things to take care of within the city to be around here when the storm broke out. And good choice, I say to all the council, good choice that we made it home. With that, it was a very good meeting, and our next SUMA meeting will be next year in Regina, so a big annual one. We'll have other different events, coming sector meetings throughout the year. In October, we're going to have city, town sector meetings. That'll be, I'll be attending, and some of the council will be attending. And we're still very much involved with SUMA, and looking forward to all the other events hanging on. Next Friday, although it's sold out, Women of Distinction Awards is next Friday here in May. Friday, we also have the Waybex Awards, which will be here on this Friday. So there's always so many events that really shows you want to see the life that Weyburn has and vitality is that there's so many things overlapping, and you have to really make choices. So that just shows that we are a very, very active community where it's not just one choice, you have to have many choices. You have to figure out where you're going to be ending up at. With that being said, any other announcements? On to here. Nothing more. Tomorrow night, as I said, the Co-op is going to have their annual meeting over at the Legion. They have a couple other events. I don't know what other things I'm thinking that I've got to be attending here, but I've got a full slate ahead of me on many things that are coming up these days. With that, there's no motions, so I'll call this meeting adjourned. Thank you for attending today.
If you'd like to share your feedback on the program you just watched, contact us today